So welcome to this amazing session on CA Final Financial Reporting, where we are starting with a new topic today, and that is going to be financial instruments. But before that, I hope your audio video is absolutely amazing, right? So on that note, we are going to study this topic, financial instruments. I don't know whether you have heard about this topic or not. Maybe from your seniors. Of course, you're studying for the FR for the first time, so you might not know. But sometimes your seniors might um, scare you with this name, financial instruments. They might tell that it is very big and very difficult. Let me tell you, in case if you have heard something about this, if you haven't heard, very good. If you still have heard from someone, let me just clarify one thing. This topic is one of the most easiest topic in CA Final FR and the most scoring topic, right? It is very easy. I'm not telling this just for the purpose of saying it. It is very easy. Sir, how many marks does it cover? So in exam, if you see based on the past weightage, it will appear in exams for approximately 16 marks to 22 marks. This is the average weightage of the chapter. That means 15 to 20% of the questions will be there from this chapter. How many questions come? One big question of maybe 10 marks, one small question of maybe 4 marks, and 1 2 MCQs maybe here and there, right? So approximately 16 to 20 marks, or at bare minimum you can expect. Sir, is this difficult? Again, I'm saying it is not at all difficult. It is very easy, very easy. It is going to be very scoring. You are going to love this topic, but you'll have to be patient. Patient in the sense you'll have to keep some patience, because yes, it has many points. We will have to go on slow, but once we are comfortable with all the points, full topic, then it will become very easy for you, right? So you'll have to keep some patience, because there are so many things that you will understand maybe after a certain number of points. So just be patient, just keep on listening, and just trust my process. Everything will be very simple after we start this topic, okay? So you can give the heading financial instruments. Now, in this topic, you can see there are how many Ind ASs I have written. Normally in one topic there used to be one Ind AS, like Ind AS 16 PP, Ind AS 38 intangible, Ind AS 40 investment property. But for financial instruments, we have not one Ind AS, not two Ind AS, but three Ind ASs. Ind AS 32, Ind AS 109, and Ind AS 107. Total in all three Ind ASs. Right? So the basic stuff is covered here in 32. The accounting stuff is covered under 109, where we will do all the calculation, everything. And what about 107? 107 only talks about disclosures. 107 only talks about disclosures. What is the meaning of disclosures? Companies in the annual report or in the notes to accounts have to give certain level of disclosures. So what all disclosures are to be given in respect of financial instruments is covered under this Ind AS. Just imagine, they think that the length of Ind AS is so big that for disclosures they have to introduce a new Ind AS, but it is not that big. Initially you will find it little bit lengthy, but it is not. To be honest, I will concise it for you, don't worry about it. You know, FR with AK, right? I will concise it for you, right? So this standard talks about the disclosures. So do we need to learn this? The answer is no. Just remember, whatever we study in Ind AS 32 and in Ind AS 109, we have to disclose everything. So disclosures for you are not very much relevant. So we will not have to cover this topic separately. As soon as you cover these two, we know whatever we studied, we have to disclose. As simple as that. Anyway, so in substance, we don't have three topics. We have two topics in substance, if you see. Okay, sir. Anyways, so today we are going to start with this topic, Ind AS 32, where I already mentioned all the basic stuff is covered. Chalo. So let's come in this topic. So the first point which you need to cover is the point of definitions, right? Acha, by the way, if you can see, there are so many points in Ind AS 32. There are mostly 3 points in substance. If you see Ind AS 109, just see 1 2 3 4. Under 4 there are so many points, right? Then you will see 5 6 7. Then you will see 8. Under 8 there are so many points. Then you will see 9, right? Then you will see 10 11 12 13 14 15 16. So many points. So sir, this seems to be a very big Ind AS. No, it isn't. It is very simple. You will enjoy this Ind AS. That is my promise to you. You will enjoy this Ind AS. You will enjoy doing the working of this Ind AS. That is my promise. Okay. But one promise you have to make. Be patient enough. Keep revising on a daily basis. That is the promise which I require from you. Okay, sir. On that note, let's start with the basics. That is Ind AS 32. The first point is definitions. Acha, under the definition, which is the first definition which we need to study? And that is financial instruments, right? So let's start the discussion of this first definition, that is financial instruments. Okay, guys. Chalo. So, see here. Definition of financial instrument. What does it say? It says it is a contract that gives rise to financial asset for one entity and a financial liability or equity instruments for another entity. Sir, we did not understand anything. It is written that financial asset for one entity and financial liability equity for another entity. What is this? You won't even understand this. The reason being, you don't know what is financial asset. You don't know what is financial liability. You don't know what is equity. So first we can discuss some basic definitions. After that we can come again towards this definition and we will be able to understand this very easily, right? So the first definition, financial instrument, we are keeping on hold. We don't know this. Let's come towards the second definition, that is financial asset. Now open a notebook. We will write and discuss everything. Okay, open a notebook. Just give the heading financial assets. First we can write the definitions and then we can give the heading of financial asset. Definitions. First point being financial asset. Now what is the meaning of financial asset? First let's try to understand this point. It says it is any asset. It is any asset. That is, it is any asset that is. Now I will bifurcate this into 4 points. So I will need some space. Okay. It is any asset that is, first point it says cash. If you have any cash balance. Acha, by the way, when I say cash, of course it includes bank balance also. It includes bank balance. So if you have cash, you will say it is a financial asset. Let's say if I want to elaborate this point, for instance, one sec. One sec, I'll just elaborate this for you. In our balance sheet, see. Can you see this is the balance sheet? Yes, sir, we can see this. Okay. Then under balance sheet, come under current assets. See, under non-current also you will see one common name. First name is the name here, H point, financial asset. Under current asset also you will see this name, current financial asset. Right? I am discussing what all comes under this heading. You can see there are so many points. So all these come under financial asset. So under current there is one bifurcation of financial asset. Then under financial asset you will show all these points. Right? One of these points is, can you see cash and cash equivalents, bank balances, they come under financial assets. So this is what I'm telling you. What is the definition of financial asset? It says the first point is cash balance. If you have any cash balance, bank balance, it is a financial asset. Is this clear to everyone? Very simple. Nothing to be complicated. Yes, sir. Okay, done. Then, next point. If you have, acha, or. The B point here is, B point. Equity instruments. Equity instruments of another entity. Equity instruments of another entity. Okay. Equity instruments of another entity. What is the example? Sir, give some example of this. So I can say, let's say my name is Aakash Kandoi. I have my company AK Limited. Now let's say I had some extra funds. So I bought shares of Reliance, right? So as soon as I buy shares of Reliance, can I say those shares become investment for me? Again, I had some extra money. I bought some shares of Reliance company. So that Reliance company shares will be what? Will be investment for me, right? So I will record on my asset side investment in Reliance company equity shares. So can I say these Reliance company equity shares are equity instruments of another entity? For me, they are equity shares of another entity. So these investment in other companies equity share is also a financial asset. This investment in other companies' equity share is also a financial asset. Acha, do remember, for anything to be a financial asset, first it has to be an asset. So investment is an asset for us. Now, if you invest in another company's equity shares, it is a equity instrument of another entity. Is it simplified for you guys? Yes, sir. Okay. So this was the B point. You can write or. That means either it should be cash, or if you have some other company's equity shares as an investment, it will be covered here. Or now you will come towards the C point as well. Acha, don't worry. We will have some multiple examples also later on. Don't worry about it. Okay. C point. Under C, we have 3 subpoints. Right? Acha. Yeah. Under C point, there are 3 points in totality. Okay. The first point you can write. Is C1. Okay. I'm writing C1. Contractual right to receive cash. If you have any contractual right to receive cash, you should have a contractual right to receive cash. That means it is not directly a cash balance, but contractually you will definitely receive cash. So that will be covered under C1. Sir, give us some example now. Like this, we can't understand. Acha, asking you some example. Can you give any item where contractually you will definitely receive cash? Any item where contractually you will definitely receive cash. Perfect answer. Your example can be, sir, debtors or trade receivables. Are under these, do you remember we make some credit sale and then these people will give me cash at later stage? Contractual right to that means for me, for the one who has made the sale on credit, for him there is a contractual right to receive cash. Perfect answer. Don't worry, we will go in much more depth. Right? Okay. C1. Then either there is a contractual right to receive cash or then I'm giving you C2. Okay. C2 is contractual right to receive equity instruments of another entity. Just copy this. Contractual right to receive equity instruments of another entity. Written this, contractual right to receive equity instruments of another entity. Now, what can be the example of this? Let's try to understand. First of all, it has to be asset. An asset where you have a contractual right not to receive cash, but under this, you are going to receive some equity shares of another company. Haven't heard of this, sir. I will give you a good example. Anyone? Yes. What can be the example? The example of this can be investment in convertible debentures. Investment in convertible debentures. Now what can be this? See, I have done investment. So is it an asset? Yes, sir. Under this investment, do I have a contractual right to receive cash? No. Because these are convertible, I will not receive cash. I will receive shares on conversion. Whenever the maturity comes, maybe after 4 years, maybe after 5 years, on that maturity, in the principal repayment, I will receive shares of that company. For example, these are convertible debentures of Reliance. So on principal maturity, Reliance will give me shares of their own company. Reliance company will give shares of their own company. So I have a contractual right to receive equity instruments of another company. In my case, I am AK Limited. Right? If I have investment in convertible debentures, Reliance will give me their own equity shares on conversion. So today these are not equity shares. Today these are debentures only. But on conversion, I have a contractual right to receive equity shares of Reliance. Right? Point number C2. Or there is a third point also. Third point you can write. Don't worry, we will discuss each of them in very much detail. Okay. Third point is contractual right to receive any other financial asset. Contractual right to receive any other financial asset. Yes, Ajay, that can also be the case. Contractual right to receive any other financial asset. So what can be the example of this? Not discussing now, at a later stage. So can you see under financial asset there are point number A, B, C. Under C there are C1, C2, C3. Okay. There's a point number D also. Okay, there's a point number D also, for which you can leave approximately 2 to 3 lines. Just leave 2-3 lines here. Okay, just leave 2-3 lines here. Leave it. What is that? We will discuss later on. Okay, so I have given you certain points under financial asset. Okay, done. Okay, now I will discuss some examples. If you want, you can take 5 seconds and just go through all the points, and then I will give you certain examples. Okay, you will have to tell me under which point does it fall. Take 10 seconds and revise this. Okay, just take 10 seconds, revise this. Just read it once, because then now we are going to play a game, and that is very fun. Okay, so just read this. Done reading, guys? Now it's my turn to play a game with you. Okay, so how are we going to play this? Just give the heading examples. Okay, now we will discuss certain examples. You will have to tell me whether these are financial asset or not. So prepare 3 columns. One is particulars, which is going to be a bigger column. Then you will make a column financial asset or not. Okay, so I will ask you a name of the item. You will tell me whether it is a financial asset or not. And just to be very much conceptually clear, now I want to make you very conceptually clear. So what I am also preparing a specific column is definition reference. Let me tell you, this column is only for understanding, only for class reference. In exam, this is not asked. So what is definition reference? I will give you one example. How are we going to play this? Okay, let's say for example, I will give you first item. So I will say I have a cash and bank balance. Now I'm asking you whether this is a financial asset. So you will check the definition. Yes, cash balance is under financial asset. So we will say yes, it is a financial asset. Okay, but to make things very conceptually clear, I will also ask you, as per which definition point this is financial asset? As per point number A, or point number B, or point number C1, C2, C3, or D, maybe. So I will say, sir, cash is under point number A. It is written now. So I will write here definition reference point number A. See, this is, no one is going to ask you this in exam. Okay, ki give the as per which point reference it is going to be cash. No one is going to ask you this. This is only for our conceptual clarity. Do remember this part. Understood the game, guys? It's going to be fun. Okay, just prepare these columns: particulars, financial asset or not, and then definition reference. Okay, yeah, this was the first point. Guys, I wanted to participate in this. Okay, that is the only way we can study in a much better way. Even the recorded students, we will also try to answer in your mind. Okay, that will be very helpful for us. Okay, sir. The second point is trade receivables, whether this is a financial asset. So you will check the definition reference and tell me whether it is a financial asset, and if the answer is yes, also give me the reference number. Okay, as per point A, as per point B, read. Is it a cash? No, sir. Is it a equity instruments of another entity? No, sir. Is it a contractual right to receive cash? Seems to be, sir. Under trade receivables, we have a contractual right to receive cash. So you will say yes. Perfect answer, C1. Very good answer, guys. This is what I want from you. Okay, active participation. C1. Okay. Chalo, done. Let's proceed. Third point is inventory. Now let's make things interesting. Giving you 5 seconds. Tell me whether inventory is a financial asset or not. About inventory, I'm asking. Think. You can think. So let me see what answer I'm getting. Hema says yes. Kishan says no. Okay, interesting. Okay, Supraja says yes. C3. See, don't go in C3. Okay, C3. I have not thought you. Don't go into this. Have I given you any examples? No, don't go into this. Okay, either it can be A, B, C1, C2. That's it. Okay. Manika says no. Supraja says no. Okay. Supraja changed her answer. Very good. Okay. Now let me explain this to you. Those who have answered the yes, those who have said yes, it is a financial asset. Let's check whether is it cash, whether is it equity instruments of another entity, whether it is contractual right to receive cash. You might say yes, but in inventory, if you sell the inventory, you will receive cash. But here, you do not have a contractual right, na? You do not have a contractual right. You are not certain to receive cash. Like in trade receivables, you have a contractual right from that party to receive cash because you have made the sales to him on credit. So he is entitled to make that payment to you. So you have a contractual right to receive that money from him. But under inventory, no one is contractually obligated to pay you anything. Or we can say under inventory, you do not have a contractual right to receive cash. Of course, when you make the sale, you will receive the cash. But you do not have a contractual right to receive it from someone else. So there is no contractual right here. Do remember this part, okay? So if anyone asks you whether inventory is a financial asset, your answer will be no. And if it is not a financial asset, of course, definition reference is not relevant. Okay, good. So we can proceed. Let's play the game again. Fourth item, PP. If you have a PP, is it a financial asset? Is it a financial asset? Perfect answer, guys. Just like inventory, there is no contractual right to receive cash here. Just like inventory, there is no contractual right to receive cash here. So not a financial asset, right? Acha, just to clarify these points, I can also show some things to you. See, if you see my current assets, can you see inventory is not under the category of financial asset? Under financial asset, there are so many things, investments, trade receivables, right? But inventory is shown out of the financial asset, separately from financial asset, right? Because this is not a financial asset. Same is the case with PP. PP is not shown under the category of financial asset. It is shown separately. Can you understand my point? Yes, sir. So PP, IP, goodwill, intangible, you do not have a contractual right to receive cash here, guys. Do remember these points. Okay, sir. Noted. Then next point. Loans and advances given. That means I gave loan to someone else. So of course, when I give a loan, it is an asset for me. Now the question is whether is it a financial asset? Yes or no? If the answer is yes, also give the definition reference. Time starts now. So tell me whether it is a financial asset. Okay, Suprada says yes, C1. Kishan says yes, C1. Hema says yes, C1. Ajay says okay. Ajay says 1. Okay, interesting. Manika says again C1. Okay. So let's try to understand this now. Now it will get very interesting. Whether it is a financial asset, the answer is yes. How come, sir? Let's check. Whether loans given, is it cash? No. Is it bank balance? No. Is it equity shares of another entity? No. Is there a contractual right to receive cash? See, whenever you give any loan to someone, you have a contractual right to receive that payment again from him now. Suppose I give loan to, let's say, Ajay. Can I say loan means that Ajay will repay me back, na? That means I have a contractual right to take that money from Ajay back again, along with interest. That means your answer is yes, guys. It is under C1, contractual right to receive cash. Very good. Okay, let's proceed. Point number 6. Point number 6. Investment in equity shares. Let's say I have of Infosys Limited, of course, just to clarify, like I am AK Limited, I have equity shares of Infosys Limited. Tell me whether is it a financial asset. If the answer is yes, as per which definition reference? Everyone says yes, sir, it is a financial asset as per point number B. Let me tell you one thing, guys. Everyone has answered B, and I'm very impressed with you because this shows your attention level in the class. Is it a financial asset? The answer is yes. Let me check how. Is it a cash? No. Is it a direct equity instruments of another entity? Yes, sir. I directly have the equity shares of Infosys now. So yes, as per point number B. Okay, sir. 7th point. It's fun, right? It's interesting. Okay. Investment in bonds. I have investment in normal bonds. What is the meaning of bonds? You know, na bonds? Just like debentures, you can invest in someone else's debentures or bonds, right? Where you acha, if I'll tell you the nature of bonds, you will be able to answer very easily. I'm not telling you the nature, okay? You tell me whether it is a financial asset or not, and as per which definition reference. Time starts now. If I tell you the nature, it becomes very easier, guys. You have to interpret, okay? Tell me. Okay. Investment in bonds. You can think easily, okay. Kishan says yes, C1. Okay. What about others, guys? Okay, Suprata says B or C2, sir. Okay. Manika says C1, okay. Suprata, see, think logically, na. Bonds are not equity shares. Chalo, let's check. Investment in bonds. Now, let me tell you the nature of bonds. What is the meaning of bonds? It is like debentures. If you invest in someone else's company's debentures, you will get interest. And then after a certain period, you will get your principal back in cash. Just like, acha, you don't understand debentures. You understand FD, fixed deposit. What is fixed deposit? If you invest money in fixed deposit, you will get interest. And after the tenure, you will get your principal back. That is bonds. If you invest in a bank's fixed deposit, it is not FD. If you invest in a company's bonds, so company will give you fixed rate of interest in cash, and then they will give you the principal back. That is bonds, right? I at a CA final level, you should know all these things, yeah. Okay, come on. So bonds, are they bonds cash? No, sir. Are they bonds equity instruments of another entity? The nature of bonds is not a equity instruments. In bonds, you get fixed rate of interest, right? In equity, the dividend is not fixed. You also get voting power in equity. In bonds, do not get any voting power, guys. So these are not equity shares. Okay, so this cannot be B. Is there a contractual right to receive cash? The answer is yes. Why? Because you will receive the interest in cash. You will receive the principal in cash. That means contractual right to receive cash. People are answering point C2. Are how can it be C2, Baba? Do you have a contractual right to receive equity shares award? In these are not I have not used the word convertible bonds, Baba. These are normal bonds. These are not convertible bonds. If they were convertible bonds, then your answer might have been different. But these are normal bonds. In normal bonds, you will get cash, and for principal, you will get your repayment back. Contractual right to receive cash. So it is a financial asset as per point number C1. I hope those who made mistake understand their mistakes. Okay, and I want everyone to try. Even if you make mistake, it is very easier for us also to interpret where are you going wrong, so I can rectify you. Okay, very good, guys. Okay, even the recorded students, I am highlighting the mistake of live students because for you also it becomes easy. There might be things where there might be items where you guys are making common mistakes. That will become easy for you. Okay, but yeah, very good. Okay, sir. Point number 8. Point number 8. Investment in Reliance companies convertible bonds. Investment in Reliance companies convertible bonds. So I'll help you with this. Now these are convertible bonds. Now if you want to go in little bit depth, in bonds, whatever you invest, you will not get your principal directly. You will, let's say for example, I invested in some company's bonds for 5 years. So for a period of 5 years, that company will pay me interest. And after 5 years, instead of paying me the principal, they will give equity shares of their own company, right? That is, for example, if I invest in Reliance company's convertible bonds, so for 5 years, Reliance will give me cash. That is, I have a contractual right to receive cash. And after 5 years, for principal amount, Reliance will not give me money. Reliance will give me Reliance company's own equity shares to me, right? So I will get interest, of course, in cash. And I will also get principal, but against principal, Reliance will give me equity shares. So I will get equity shares of Reliance company against principal. Now you can evaluate these two separately. How? For interest, I have a contractual right to receive cash. So is it a financial asset? Yes. But if I want to give you clarity in depth, financial asset for interest as per which definition point? So in interest, I will receive cash, contractual right to receive cash. So for interest, it will be point number C1. For interest, it will be point number C1. But for principal, you will receive equity shares. It is a financial asset, yes. But as per which point? A, no. B, no. These are not directly equity instruments now. As of now, these are convertible bonds. But yes, you have a contractual right to receive equity shares after 5 years. You have a contractual right to receive equity shares after 5 years. See, do not say that this is point number B directly. If you had directly equity shares of some company, then point number B. But if you have any convertible instruments where in future you are going to get equity, so today you will say contractual right to receive equity shares of another entity. So point number C2. See, again to highlight, in exam, no one is going to ask you, give me definition reference. No, they will just ask you, whether is it a financial asset or not. Even if you are able to interpret this, it is more than enough. But because you are learning FR with a K, I won't leave you so easily because I want to make very conceptually clear things. Okay, sir. Got these points? Okay, good point. Let's proceed further. Let's say, for example, 9 point. There is investment in preference shares. Now, please know that preference are not same as equity. Preference shares are different, equity shares are different. So don't confuse them with, or don't mix them up with equity shares. Okay, these are different. So if I have any investment in preference shares, in preference, what all things you get? Normal preferences are not convertible. These are not convertible. Okay, not convertible, normal shares. So in preference, what all things you get? You get dividend. Yes. And you also get principal in cash. You get dividend in cash. You also get your principal in cash. Back again, right? So these two elements both comprise of financial asset. And now, because now it is simple, Ajay, very good answer. Because you are going to get both the elements in cash, you have a contractual right to receive cash, right? So it will be C1. Very good answer, guys. Okay. Now let's make things little more interesting. Running out of columns. Can I say it is easy? It is fun. You will make silly mistakes, but I want you to make silly mistakes. But it is fun, na? Yes, okay. 10th point. Let's say you have gold. You have gold. Normal gold. Let's say I have gold biscuits, like this ring. Right? Or this chain maybe. I have this gold. This is gold, right? I have this gold. Whether is it a financial asset? If the company has some gold biscuits or something. You know biscuits? Yeah. Instead of Parle-G biscuit, company might have gold biscuit. Okay, so this gold, whether is it a financial asset or not? Tell me. So if you say yes, sir, then under which point? And if you say no, then no definition reference required. Okay, Kishan says yes, sir, it is as per point number A. Okay, what about others? Suprada says no. Okay. Kishan says yes, Suprada says no. So I guess both of the students should fight with each other. If there was a physics class, I would have called both of them on the stage and told them to argue with each other because I love to see arguments. Ajay says no. Okay. Let's evaluate. Is gold a cash? No, sir. You can't treat gold as cash, okay? Cash can only include physical cash or bank balance. Gold is not a cash. Achha. Is gold equity shares of another entity? No. Is there a contractual right to receive cash? See, you can say, sir, if I sell gold, I will receive cash. But is there a contractual right to receive cash? Is some other party obligated to pay you something against gold? 100% compulsory. Is there a contractual right with you that you will 100% receive cash? There is no contractual right, Baba. Is there a contractual right? No. It is just like inventory, na, Baba. In inventory, did you have a contractual right? No, sir. Of course, we can sell the inventory and we can collect cash. But it is not written convertible into cash. It is written that you should have a contractual right to receive cash. Sir, there is no contractual right. No one is obligated to make you a payment against your gold. Of course, if you sell, you can convert. But the definition does not say whether it is convertible into cash or not. Definition will ask you whether there is a contractual right to receive cash. Sir, no, there is no contractual right to receive cash. Okay, is there a contractual right to receive equity instrument on another entity? No. C3 had not thought you, leave it. No, sir. So is gold a financial asset? No. Not a financial asset. Maximum students will make mistake here. They will think that, sir, we can convert into cash. But convertible is not required. We want to listen whether we want to see whether there is a contractual right to receive cash. If you are still confused, just look at inventory. Just look at inventory. Whether inventory was financial asset? No. Now why? Why? Ask yourself. You will get the answer. So, sir, gold will be covered under which Ind AS? No specific Ind AS exists as of now for gold. If of course you have jewelry shop, it is inventory for you, then Ind AS 2. Otherwise, if you are using it, then PPE for you. If you have held for investment purpose, it is not covered under financial asset. Then which Ind AS to apply, sir? If no specific Ind AS is available, you should apply the framework, the basic concepts of accounting. You will apply that. But again, no specific discussion for gold. Let's proceed further. Point number 11. Now let's make things more interesting. Investment in gold bonds. Have you heard there are gold bonds? That is, you are not investing in gold. You are investing in gold bonds where they will, of course, these are bonds now. I'm not explaining the nature. If I explain the nature, then it will become very easy for you. You have invested in gold bonds, right? So these are bonds which fluctuate based on the price of gold. But bonds, not gold, not physical gold. Okay, so you invest for a specific period. Well, let me tell the nature. You invest in bonds for a specific period. So they will give you the interest amount. Also, they will also give you the principal back. But this interest amount and principal fluctuation will depend on the amount of fluctuation in gold. Simple. Now tell me whether it is a financial asset or not. I almost give you the hint here. Now it is very certain to answer this. Okay, yes, it is a financial asset, sir. Why? Because now it has become a bond, na? And if it is a bond, it gets very easy now, because the bonds nature are such that you will invest for a specific period, you will get interest and you will get principal, right? So I made it easy for you guys. Don't this answer credit should not go to you. It should come towards me. Okay, because I made it easy for you. Okay, so now everyone will GPay me 1 lakh rupees because I helped you. No? Okay. Anyways, C1. Investment in gold bonds. Done, sir. Okay. Next point. Prepaid expenses. Have you heard of this? Prepaid expenses? Acha, if you want to understand this, let's suppose. Don't laugh, okay? Let's suppose before the start of this batch, before this batch started, you enrolled for my batch, you paid the fees before the batch started, right? So you paid, fees paid by you is an expense for you. So you paid an expense in advance, because after you paid the fees, then I will give you the services. So for you, the fees you paid to me before the start of the batch is a prepaid expense for you. Similarly, for a company, if they incur any expense which has not yet accrued, but still the company has incurred it, it is a prepaid expense for them. My question to you is whether this prepaid expense is a financial asset or not. Just Kishan says no, Supraya says no. Straight away they say no. Baba, no. Okay, Ajay also says no. Okay. Not expecting this answers from you. Is it? Arey Baba, it won't be a financial asset. Guys, are you sure? Are you sure? Everyone says no. This is interesting. Okay. Prepaid expense. See. Unfortunately, you all of you are correct. Why? Under prepaid expenses, is it a cash? No. Is it a equity share? No. Is there a contractual right to receive cash? This is the main point which is to be evaluated. Is there a contractual right to receive cash? If you incur any prepaid expense, let's take in your case, you incurred the fees, you paid the fees in advance. So against this prepaid expense, do you have a contractual right to receive cash as a student? No. Students won't get cash. When you incur this prepaid expense, in return of this prepaid expense, you will not get cash. You will get goods or services from me, na? If you incurred a prepaid expense, then you you have a right not to receive cash back again. You have a right to receive goods and to receive services from me. Similarly, when a company incurs any expense beforehand, the company will not get that money back. In place of that money, the company will get goods and services back. Right? So in prepaid expenses, do not say it as a financial asset, or do not say we have a contractual right to receive cash. Just imagine that you paid the fees of this batch. Am I going to give you the fees written? Of course not. Of course not. Right? I will give you services in place of that. Na yaar. So against any prepaid expenses, company, you can say the company will receive. I'm not talking from both of us point of view. I'm talking from the point of view of student who has incurred this prepaid expense. As a student, you will receive goods or services and not cash. Right? In return of the fees paid, you will get my books, that is goods. You will get the service of teaching. So is this a financial asset? The answer is no. But yes, I am very proud of you. I was not expecting a correct answer. But anyway, still. Okay. Not a financial asset. Achha. Let's make things a little more interesting so that you don't ratify things. Let's say you incurred a prepaid expense. You paid the fees in advance. You paid FR fees in advance. But I refuse to give the service. I refuse to give the service. Students were asking me, sir, will you teach FR? I said, I will not teach FR. I will not teach FR. Okay? You paid the FR fees for English batch. Then I refused. I say, I don't feel like teaching English. I don't want to teach you guys. I refuse to teach you guys. Okay? So I refuse the service. What will you guys say? Of course, you can't force me to teach. But you will demand me one thing, right? You will say, sir, give our money back. Give our money back. You will ask refund, na? In that case. So, in case, if you incur a prepaid expense and that other party refuses to give you goods and service, that means now your prepaid expense has become refundable in cash. Or of course, bank. So, when you incur a prepaid expense for which service or goods has been denied to you, so now the expense which you incurred has become refundable to you. Of course, you will say, hey, Aakash Kandoi, give our money back. Give our money back. Of course, you will not do this with me, na? Okay, anyways. I'm doing emotional drama with you. Okay. So, it becomes refundable to you. Now tell me, in prepaid expense, if the service is refused to you and it has become refundable, now whether this refundable is a financial asset for you or not? The answer is yes. Now it is a financial asset as per point number C1. Because now as soon as I refuse the service, you guys have a contractual right to receive cash back again. So just because you heard the name prepaid expense doesn't mean it is not a financial asset. In real life, we should know the transaction nature, whether it is going to happen, whether the service has been refused. So is that become refundable? Depth. Check the depth of the transaction, right? Okay. Interesting, sir. 14th point. But by the way, guys, if I refuse, will you ask your money back from such a poor guy? No, na. You will leave, na. You will say, sir, what about this money? I can give you 1 lakh rupees. We can give 1 lakh rupees each to you for free. Right? This should be your motivation towards me or dedication towards me. If this is the case, I'll just drop my GPay number, please. Even for the recorded students, you can also. No? That is the only way I can become rich, yaar. See, BB Virtual is only giving me 20,000 per month. So accordingly, I'm getting only 2.4 lakhs per annum. Poor people, hungry people. Right? I can't even order a pizza in this much money, yaar. Pizza will come, but of course, then my whole income will go into pizza only. Anyways. Poor people, hungry people. Yeah, poor India, hungry India. No? Okay. The 14th point. Let's move towards the 14th point. That is interest receivable. Do you understand the meaning of below exemption limit? Yeah, Aakash Kandoi is below exemption limit. Do you understand the meaning of interest receivable? And let's suppose you invested a fund somewhere. You invested in bank FD, right? So interest has accrued, but bank is yet to give you the money. So that is interest receivable. It is an asset, just to clarify in case you don't know. Interest which has accrued, but you did not receive it yet. So it is receivable. Whether it is a financial asset, of course the answer is, now it is simple. Answer is yes. Why? As per point number C1. Why? Contractual right to receive cash. Right? After becoming CA, we will give it back, sir. You will give me 1 lakh rupees after becoming CA. Hima is promising me to give 1 lakh after she becomes a CA. Okay. See, as of now, when she promises me this, I am not concerned with any of you guys, whether you become a CA or not. Hima should become a CA as soon as possible. I'm not concerned whether you are becoming a CA or not. For Hima, it is very important to become a CA as soon as possible. Okay? Suprada says 20k per hour. Oh, please, 20k per hour means if I'm teaching for 8 hours, 1 sec, 20 into 8, 20,000 into 8 into 365. My god, I can't even count the zeros. Units, tens, 100, 1,000, 10,000, lakh, 10 lakh, 5 crore 84 lakhs. मजा आ गया. Anyways, chalo, let's resume. Interest receivable, it is a financial asset. We all know this. Okay. 15th point. Bills receivable. Whether is it a financial asset? Bills receivable. Is it a financial asset? What is the meaning of bills receivable? Do you have heard this word maybe in your 11th and 12th standard, where you should discuss what is bills receivable? So you are entitled to some payment. So the other party will raise a bill and tell you that he will make the payment after 3 months. So it is just like trade receivables only. Small brother, cousin brother of trade receivables is bills receivable, right? So it is a financial asset. Of course, yes. You have a, yes. Acha, people are saying, sir, please ask a tough one. These are tough only. You are finding it easy. The only reason being, you have understood this definition very clearly. Right? Yes. Chalo. Exemption limit will close within a day only. Yeah, hopefully, yes. So anyway, C1. Simple? Okay. Chalo, you wanted something tough, right? Okay. Let me bring you some tough things for you. 16th point. Security deposit given. Security deposit given. Now, what is the meaning of this point? Security deposit given. Let me explain this to you. Whenever you take any property on rent, let's say for example, this is the tenant who is going to take the property on rent. This is the tenant, right? So whenever tenant takes any property on rent, and this is the owner of the property, okay? Here is the owner of the property. So wherever the tenant takes anything on rent, he will give the security deposit. The tenant will give the deposit on day 1, and at the end of the agreement, the owner will return this back to the tenant. At the end, return security deposit at the end of rent agreement. Let's say for example, I have taken this studio on rent, right? So when I take the studio, I have to make the monthly rental payments, but on day 1, the owner will demand some certain deposit from me as a safety deposit, right? So I am the party who is giving this deposit. I am the party. The tenant is the party who is giving this deposit on day 1. So for tenant, whether is it an asset? The answer is yes. Why? Why it is an asset for tenant? The reason being that at the end of the agreement, tenant will receive it back. At the end of the agreement, tenant will receive this deposit back. So for tenant, it is an asset. But the question is, whether is it a financial asset or not? Even before me explaining this, everyone answered C1. What is this, guys? Answering in advance? Huh? In Hindi we say maja nahi aaya. Maja nahi aaya means did not enjoy this. Rahul Gandhi, Modi ji used to say maja nahi aaya. That means we did not enjoy this because you were able to answer it so very early, right? Anyways, but you guys are right. Let me explain this for those who did not understand. Deposit means it is a refundable deposit which the tenant makes on day 1. He will receive it back at the end of the agreement, right? So whether is this deposit a financial asset? For who? For tenant. Because for tenant it is an asset. Why? Let's say I give you some advance, I give you some deposit amount today. So after some years, I will take that money back from you now. So for me, it is an asset. Why asset? Because it is a receivable for me in future. So it is an asset, but the question is whether is it a financial asset or not. The answer is yes. Why? Because as we already said, this is a refundable deposit. At the end of the agreement, the deposit has to return back to the tenant. So contractual right to receive cash. Security deposit given. Okay. Okay, sir. 17th point. Now, let's say I have a trade receivable. I asked something from him. Normally, trade receivables give us cash now. But this trade receivable told that he will not make the payment in cash. Instead of cash, this trade receivables said he will not give cash, but he will give bills receivable. He will give bills receivable. Still question, it will be the same. He will give me bills receivable. Now, please listen. From this trade receivable, normally is this trade receivable a financial asset? The answer is yes. From this trade receivable, he told he will not give me cash. Instead, he will give me some bills receivable. He had some bills of other party, which he will give it to me. What will I do with these bills? Of course, I can realize this now. I can go to the party and tell them that I have these bills in your name. You have to give me money now, right? So my trade receivables are not giving me cash. They are giving me bills receivable. Now, see, it is not cash. It is not equity shares of another entity. Okay. Whether I have a contractual right to receive cash directly. See, whether this trade receivable are directly giving me cash. No. Now see where I'm going. Is there a contractual right to receive equity shares of another entity? No. Is there a contractual right to receive any other financial asset? What is the meaning of any other financial asset? That means this trade receivable is not giving me cash. This trade receivable is not giving me equity shares of another entity. This trade receivable is giving me another financial asset apart from cash, apart from equity shares. Again, this trade receivable is not giving me cash. This trade receivable or this asset is not giving me equity shares of another entity. So if apart from these two financial asset, if the trade receivable is promising you any other financial asset, is bills a financial asset for me? Is bills a financial asset? Yes. So this financial asset is promising me another financial asset apart from cash, apart from equity shares. This financial asset is promising me another financial asset apart from cash, apart from equity shares. Then this will be a financial asset, but under point number C3. Perfect answer. You guys already answered it, but still I had to explain this. Under point number C3. So when a financial asset promises you another financial asset, I can also explain. This financial asset is going to give another financial asset apart from cash. Because if this was giving cash, then it would have been C1. And apart from equity shares of another entity. Because if this trade receivable would have promised me equity shares of a third company, then it would have come under C2. So apart from cash and equity shares of another entity, if this trade receivable is giving me any other financial asset, then it will be C3. Kishan says one interesting point. He says, sir, right to receive cash still exists. Yes. So when this trade receivable gives you bills receivable, and when in your balance sheet you will record bills, these bills will be financial asset as per point number C1, because these bills will give you cash, right? But again, as I said, this definition reference we discuss in class. In real life, you need not give whether C1 or C2 or C3. You just need to say whether it is a financial asset or not. You need not give this classification. It is of C1 or C2 or C3. This is for our reference. I wanted to give one example for this, so I gave one example. Of course, we know that ultimately these bills will give us cash only. But I'm not going in that transaction. I'm discussing about this initial transaction where this trade receivable will give me bills receivable. As soon as the bills are handed over to me, trade receivables will be out of the books. bills will be recorded. Now these bills will also be a financial asset because these bills I am directly going to receive cash. So as per point number C1, but that much depth we need not touch as of now, right? Okay. Acha, just to clarify, this one example is enough for C3. No need to confuse yourself with other things. Just remember these point. Just remember this point for C3, right? Okay. So gave you the examples of everything. Did you guys understand this? Can you just clarify me yes or no for this? Did you guys understand what explanation I gave you? If one financial asset is going to give you another financial asset apart from cash or equity shares of another entity, because if this was giving you cash, then it would have been C1. If this was giving you equity shares of another entity, it would have been C2. So if apart from these two, it is giving you any other financial asset, it is C3. Understood? Okay, perfect. Done. Perfect. I can proceed further. Yes. Last two examples which I want to discuss is, do you know sometimes we deposit extra income tax? Sometimes we deposit extra income tax. So that income tax becomes refundable to you. Income tax refund, right? So normally we say, sir, we are going to get refund. So you will say contractual right to receive cash, but there is no contractual right. It is a statutory right to receive cash. It is a statutory right. And statutory right payments are not in the scope of financial instruments. Not in scope of financial instruments. These are covered under another Ind AS, right? So do remember, if any income tax refund is to be received by you, we know we are going to receive cash. We have a right to receive cash, but that right is not a contractual right. It is a statutory right, which are not within the scope of financial instruments. Okay, so not covered here. Clear? Okay, sir. Anyways, point number 19th. Let's say you have some investments in subsidiaries, joint venture. JV means joint ventures or associates. Let's say you have some investments in subsidiaries, joint ventures or associates. So, see, when you say I have an investment in subsidiary, that means I have an investment in subsidiaries equity shares. So normally we say, sir, investment in another company equity share, investment in another company equity share, right? So it can be as per point number B, but when you invest in a subsidiary, joint venture, associate, these are already covered by another Ind AS, right? So these are again not in scope. Why, sir? Because for this different Ind AS have been prepared, which are respectively Ind AS 110, Ind AS 111 and Ind AS 28. So you can just give the reference. So if you invest in your subsidiaries, let's say for example Reliance Industries has a subsidiary Reliance Jio, right? So for Reliance Industries, he is investing in Reliance Jio's equity shares. But because Reliance Jio is a subsidiary to that main company, such investment in subsidiaries are not covered under the scope, right? So because we have respective Ind AS for them. So just remember these 2-3 basic points. Guys, are you clear with this? Yes, perfect. Chalo. Will you do one thing for me? I want you guys to take a couple of minutes, even the recorded ones. Recorded ones will pause the video. Revise whatever I taught you in financial asset. Okay. And through the live ones, you will also revise whatever I taught you in financial asset, giving you a couple of minutes. Okay. Time starts now. Just how to revise? Just read the definition. Just read the examples. Just go through them. No need to ratify. Don't ratify. I just want you guys to understand it. Don't learn anything. It's my guarantee at the end of the lectures, you will remember each and every point and you can call them very confidently whether these are financial asset or not. Okay. Just give them a read. Okay. Time starts now. Chalo, let's resume. Yes. So we were done with the definition of financial asset. Of course, there is a point number D which is pending, which I will discuss later on. Don't worry about it. But yes, we got a basic idea of what is financial asset. You guys enjoyed it, I hope. Now I'm going to discuss, there is something known as definition of financial liability. Okay. So this was first definition, right? The second definition is definition of financial liability. Okay. Now, what is the definition of financial liability? So it is any liability It is any liability. It is any liability that is again I will have certain pointers here. It is any liability that is, first I will have A1. First there is a, see here now it is a liability, okay? So think from liabilities point of view, don't think from assets point of view, think from liabilities point of view. So it is any liability that is a contractual, it is a contractual obligation to deliver cash. In financial asset we have a contractual right to receive cash. Because it is a liability here, now we are under the pump, we have a contractual obligation to deliver cash. Can anyone give me an example of any liability where there is a contractual obligation to deliver cash? If you can give me an sweet example, it would be cherry on the cake. Now, Racha, give me one example. Very good answer, sir. The best example can be creditors or trade payables, as you say, right? Where I have a contractual obligation to deliver cash. Very good, Supraja. Very good. You went way ahead of giving a better example. Anyways, yes, trade payables, creditors, simple, right? This is A1. We have A2 as well. What does A2 say? A2 says contractual obligation to deliver. Contractual obligation to deliver any other financial asset. Contractual obligation to deliver any other financial asset. What is the example of this? We will discuss later on. A1 and A2. Okay. There are two more points here. One is point number B. Leave 3 lines. And then again there is point number C. These 2 points I cannot discuss now. I will discuss later on. So the definition of financial liability is pretty straightforward. If you have a contractual obligation to deliver cash, financial liability. If you have a contractual obligation to deliver any other financial asset apart from cash, if apart from cash you are going to deliver any other financial asset, okay, then it will be a financial liability. Anyways, so let's discuss examples, because when we discuss examples we get more clarity on this. Okay, chalo. So again we will play that game, that interesting game. So just leave 2-3 lines for a C point as well and give the heading examples. Example. Chal example. Okay. Give 3 column particulars. Tell me financial, whether it is a financial liability or not. And also, just to make things very conceptually clear, give the definition. Give the definition reference as well. Again, just to highlight, definition reference is not going to be asked in exams. In exams, the max they can ask is by asking whether it is a financial liability or financial asset or not. Okay, chalo, let's take some examples. Go slow, don't try to rush through things, because if you are able to go through this very easily, then it will become easier for us at the back end of the chapter. Okay. Okay, sir. So the first point. Trade payables. So this is very difficult, sir. I will help you. Trade payable, sir. Under trade payable, do I have a contractual obligation to deliver cash? Yes, sir. So it is a financial liability as per point number A1. See, guys, I helped you with the difficult part. Now you help me with the easier examples. Okay? Deal. Sir, do you think we are huchas? Yeah. Yes. 100%. Chalo. Let's proceed further. Loan taken. See, think first of all, for it to be a financial liability, it should be a liability. Okay. So I am discussing all the liability items. Loan taken. I took a loan. Now evaluate whether it is a financial liability or not. Time starts now. By the way, Supraja already gave that answer in the initial part only, but still. Loan taken. Okay. Ajay says C2. Ajay? Do you feel I am a C? Where did C2 come from? We are under financial liability, Baba. It should either be A1 or A2. Where do you get C2? Anything. Acha, loan taken. So we took a loan. When we take a loan, let's suppose you take a loan from a bank. Acha, typo, okay, no problem. Whenever you take a loan from a bank, you have to repay the interest also and the principal also. How do you repay? You repay in cash only, na? So when you take a loan, you have to repay the interest in cash, you have to repay the principal in cash. So it is of course a financial liability. As per point number A1. Simple. Very good. Acha, you gave the correct answer later on. Okay. See, I'm like my wife. I don't see the correct answers. I see only wrongdoings. I will not see what my husband has done. 100 things correct. The one thing which he did not do, he did not take his towel and keep it at the right place. He's gone. I'm like my wife. Anyways, chalo. Let's proceed. Third. Outstanding salary. Outstanding doesn't mean very good salary. Yeah? Outstanding means a salary which is not yet paid by the company as of now. Think from company's point of view. The company who has not paid employees salary, it is known as outstanding salary. Let's say for example a principal, your main principal, articleship principal has not given you the stipend. Okay, now that for that principal that your stipend is outstanding salary. Of course, what chiller is also known as stipend. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 rupees. Poor people, hungry people. I know even you are poor like me. Even you are not getting stipend. Outstanding salary. Whether it is a financial liability, the answer is yes. Why? For company's point of view, if it is outstanding salary, just think from company's point of view. Does the company have an obligation to deliver cash? The answer is yes. Now, if you have worked in your articleship, you will demand the principal to give your cash back, na? If you are saying no, just imagine you working for a month. The principal is not giving you stipend. Tell me one thing, whether that principal has a contractual obligation to give the stipend to you. The answer is yes, because you have worked for it. When it comes to our stipend, now we can feel the pain, sir. Yes, it is a financial liability. For the principal, yes, financial liability as per point number A1. Let's proceed. Fourth point. Advance income. Advance income. Sir, give us an example of advance income. Let's say, for example, do you remember the fees which you paid in advance? For you, it was a prepaid expense. For me, it was an advance income. Why? I received some fees from you for which I have not given you the service. That means the revenue which I received, which has not yet accrued. I have not earned your money as of now because I have not even started to teaching, but still you gave me the fees. So for me, from my point of view, it is advance income. For you, it was prepaid expense. For me, it is advance income. Tell me whether it is a financial liability or not. I gave you a very good hint now. For you, it was a prepaid expense because you paid the expense early. For me, it is an advance income. I received my income early. Liability. Advance income is always a liability for the company, but whether it is a financial liability. So Kishan says no, Suprita says no. What about others? What about others? No? What about others? Whether this advance income will be a financial liability or not. So the answer is no. How do you guys know the answer beforehand? Surprised? Okay. So just remember, when I receive the income in advance, I have received the income in advance. Just evaluate. Do I have a contractual obligation to deliver cash? When I receive your fees in advance, it is advance income for me. But against that fees, I'm not going to give your fees back. I'm not such kind person. But instead of that fees, I will give you the service. Right? Obligation to deliver service and not cash. Very good, Ajay. Highly impressed. So here, in future, I will deliver service. In future, deliver service and not cash. So will it be a financial liability? No, not a financial liability. Acha, just to be very much clear, sir, what if there is an advance income received by me and I refuse to teach you? I cancel the contract and contract cancelled. I received the money from you and then I refused. I will not teach you. We discussed this in prepaid also. When the advance income is received by the company, but the company cancels the contract. So can I say now the advance has become refundable to students? That advance will be refundable to students. Of course, in my case, it won't be refundable because you are nice, na. You are nice students. You are so good, cute bunch of students. You will not ask money from me, na, even if I refuse to teach you. But in other people cases, they will ask for refund, na. My students are very unique. They will not ask. Instead, they will give me 1 lakh rupees extra. I know. I am putting my GPay number. Please transfer. Okay. So advance income and the contract is cancelled. So if that advance becomes refundable to students, so in that case, yes, it is a financial liability. Absolutely correct. But as per which point? So as per point number A1, because contractual obligation to deliver cash. Perfect. Don't laugh. Okay. Anyways, next point. Let's make things a little interesting. The company issued debentures. Debentures. Let's say there were some debentures issued. Do you understand the meaning of debentures issued? Debentures issued basically means, see, there are always two parties to a contract. The one who is issuing the debenture and the one who is investing in the debentures. The one who is investing in the debentures, for him it is an asset. And we discussed, for the one who is investing, it is a financial asset. Why? Because that party will receive interest, that party will receive principal also back. But for the company who is issuing debenture, why do the company issue debenture? Just to raise funds. It is just like a loan which the company is taking. But instead of taking the loan from bank, they are taking the loan from general public. So that is why they issue debentures. So the company who is issuing the debenture, for them it is like a loan, na? For them it is like a liability. Because whenever you issue a debenture, you give a piece of paper to the investors and in return you receive the money on day one. You receive the money on day one. It is like a loan. When you take the loan from bank, you get the money on day one from the bank. Now you are obligated to make two kinds of payment each year. During the tenure, you are obligated to make two kinds of payment. You will have to also repay the interest in cash. And these are normal debentures, not convertible. So also the principal has to be paid in cash. So for the ones who is issuing the debenture, it is a liability for them. First, understand this. Okay, it is a liability. Why? Because they are raising funds. Now, let's suppose they raised funds for 5 years. So for 5 years, they will have to give interest. And at the end of 5th year, they will have to also repay the principal back. So, contractual obligation to deliver cash. Financial liability as per point number A1. I hope you understand this. Seems to be very simple, na? Ideally, it seems to be simple because you have understood the definition. See, when I started with financial instruments, you were a little bit confused now. What is financial asset? What is financial liability? Right? But as soon as we discussed it, it became very much clear to us, right? It became easier for us. This is what financial instrument is. It is very easy. You should know how to tackle it. Anyways, clear with this, guys? Perfect. So we'll take a small break now because you deserve it, right? Because the further discussion I can do after the break. So let's take a small break and then after the break we can resume. Okay. So till then, thank you so much, everyone. Let's take a small break. Bye bye, everyone. Take care. See you all. Bye bye. Yeah. After the break, I will do further discussion. Okay. Just to remind you, financial liability is not yet over. There are few other points also in this. We will discuss. Don't worry. After the break.